Hello and welcome. We're going to be going over pediatric dosages and dosing by weight. The pediatric dosing, we have three rules. We have Fry's rule, Young's rule, and Clark's rule. I like to call these my plug and chug equations. So we have Fry's rule, which is the patient's age in months divided by 150 times the adult dose is equal to the child's dose. My Young's rule is the age of the child in years divided by the age plus 12. Now notice that they're in parentheses, so they have to be added together first, times the adult dose is equal to the child's dose. And then we have Clark's rule, which is the child's weight in pounds divided by 150 times my adult dose is equal to the child's dose. All three rules are based on an adult dose. These are the only three rules in pharmaceutical calculations that are based on an adult dose. So if the problem is giving you an adult dose in combination with a patient's age or a patient's weight, you're going to use one of these three rules. Now let's take a look at some examples of these. The first one says how much clindamycin should an 8-month-old infant receive if the adult dose is 500 milligrams. Now I have a child's age in months and an adult dose. So here I'm going to use Fry's rule. So I'm going to take the 8 months old of a child divided by 150 times 500 milligrams, and I come out with 26.7 milligrams per dose for this patient. Now let's go ahead and solve for this dose. If they say the medication is available in 50 milligrams per 5 ml, how many milliliters will the infant receive? So these are problems that build off each other. So I know that there's 50 milligrams for every 5 ml, which means the 26.7 milligrams that the infant will receive will be contained in X ml. I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply, and I get 50x is equal to 26.7 times 5 will give me 133.5. I'm going to divide both sides by 50 to get x by itself. And I get x is equal to 2.67 mLs. So here are my answers. And just remember, for this example, we went and used Fry's rule. Let's take a look at the next example. So I have how many milligrams of Zofran will a 10-year-old child receive if the adult dose is 4 milligrams? I have my age in years, so this is going to be Young's rule. I have the patient's age, which is 10, divided by 10 plus 12, which gives me 22, times my adult dose of 4 milligrams, and this will give me a dosing of 10 divided by 22 times 4, gives me a dosing of 1.8 milligrams per dose. Now if I were to solve for a dose, if the medication was available in 4 milligrams per 5 ml, I know that there's 4 milligrams per 5 ml, which means that the 1.8 milligrams per dose will be contained in X ml. I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply. I get 4x is equal to 1.8 times 5 will give me 9. I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and I get x is equal to 2.25 mLs. Now let's take a look at what it's going to look at the last but not least, but Clark's rule. It says how many milligrams of Augmentin will a 60-pound child receive if the adult dose is 1,000 milligrams? So since I have weight in pounds, I'm going to use Clark's rule. I have a 60-pound child over 150 times an adult dose of 1,000 milligrams. So 60 divided by 150 times 1,000 will give me 400 milligrams per dose. Now if I were to solve for a dose, if the medication were available in 500 milligrams per 5 ml, I know that there's 500 milligrams for every 5 ml, which means the 400 milligrams per dose will be contained in X ml. I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply. So I have 500x is equal to 400 times 5 will give me 2,000. I'm going to divide both sides by 500 to get the x by itself, and I have x is equal to 4 milliliters. So those 3 practice problems are examples of how to use your pediatric dosage equation. Now let's go ahead and take a look at dosing by weight. It says a physician orders clindamycin 5 milligrams per kilogram per dose for a patient who weighs 120 pounds. How many milligrams per dose will the patient receive? When I see something that looks like this, that says 5 milligrams per kilogram per dose, that means for every 1 kilogram a patient weighs, they're going to receive 5 milligrams of medication. However, they give me the patient weight in pounds. So step 1, we're going to convert pounds to kilograms. And whenever we're going from pounds to kilograms, we're going to take our pounds and we're just going to go ahead and divide by 2.2. So this gives me 54.55 kilograms. Step 2, we're going to solve per dose. Now, since I have 54.55 kilograms and the patient is going to receive 5 milligrams per kilogram per dose, okay? My kilograms will cancel. So basically, I just have the 54.55 times 5, and that gives me 272.8 milligrams per dose for this patient. So that's how I would calculate a dose by weight. Now let's look at an example like that one more time. So I have a physician orders dilaudid 0.05 milligrams per kilogram per dose for a patient who weighs 175 pounds. How many milligrams will the patient receive per dose? Now again, the patient can only receive 0.05 milligrams for every single kilogram. So step 1, we're going to go ahead and convert pounds to kilograms. So when I have pounds, I'm going to take 175 pounds and I'm going to divide that by 2.2. So 175 divided by 2.2 gives me 79.55 kilograms. Step 2, I'm going to go ahead and solve. So if the patient weight is 79.55 kilograms and the patient is going to get 0.05 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per dose, my kilograms will cancel. I have 79.55 times 0.05, and that gives me 3.98 milligrams per dose for this patient. Okay, so the last 2 examples are examples of how to calculate dosing by weight. Let's go ahead and do just one more, okay, because I know this one could be a little bit difficult. So I have a physician orders ampicillin 10 milligrams per kilogram per dose for a patient who weighs 88 pounds. How many milligrams will the patient receive per dose? So again, step 1, we're going to take our pounds and divide it by 2.2. So 88 divided by 2.2 will give me 40 kilograms of body weight. So this 40 kilogram patient is going to receive 10 milligrams per kilogram per dose. My kilograms will cancel. So I have 40 times 10, which is 400 milligrams per dose for this patient. I hope you found this video informational. If you have any questions, please contact an academic coach at coach@ultimatemedical.edu. Thank you for joining me.